Hello. Welcome to another fatness episode of the Students Cast. Today will be discussing some really interesting and exciting shit. Starting first.
All those pure in heart, listen to the Nance Cast.
Okie fucking dokie. What's up? What's up, YouTube? How'd you guys like that introduction? That was sent to me
playing
special.
with the Ouija board.
Yeah.
We were playing with the Ouija board, and we were telling David Lynch how much we love Gordon Cole, and
then he just I
have
opened
to
my
make
email.
an appearance.
Yeah, I opened my email and there was this file and there it is. But we are indeed back to continue reading through the Accursed Share. More Bataille, more problems. Except reading Bataille can actually help us think through some problems and see through some problems. My bookshelf's so disorganized right now, I can't hold the book up. But I should, it's actually more Bataille, less problems, because I think it is essential in helping us kind of understand and situate ourselves and contextualize ourselves and get our feet underneath us, so we aren't just spinning our wheels off into oblivion as the machine keeps churning. But I'm happy to be back, happy to be reading through the core essential text of one of my favorite thinkers. So yeah, I'm happy to be sharing this with you, dear internet. I'm happy to be doing this shit with you guys, who are also similarly interested in Bataille. You can't see, we are indeed joined by Sean, but he is off camera right now. But
I told him to stay off camera until he gets his attitude together.
Yeah, he was being a little excessive.
Right. I'm being punished.
Yeah, he's in the no corner right now. He'll be back if he can act right.
We're gonna get that attitude adjusted one way or another. I don't care if we have to call John Cena.
You can't see me.
We literally can't see Sean.
I'll be back. I'll be a good boy.
Yeah.
All right.
You better. But yeah, last time we left off reading through explaining general economy. What is general economy was the section we read. Right now we're going to pick it up with the section titled Laws of General Economy, and go through energetics and metabolism and energy and the way this all works. To try to demystify, because that's one thing, man. A lot of people out there, when they think George Bataille, they think mystical, weird stuff. He was into weird shit for sure. He was into erotic fiction and weird poetry. He had a cult, or tried to get this cult running called Asaphael, where they were trying to find a willing tribute to volunteer for murder. So they could cut the head off and actualize the headless God and do all this stuff. But I honestly think a lot of that is contrived. Just because Bataille was, he was ahead of his time. He was like, I'm going to play around with truth and fiction in this weird way. I really do think he was concerned with theory and not murdering people, and it's not just about Ling Chi, and it's not just about like Hellraiser. Or what's that movie? Event Horizon, Hellraiser in Space. Like it's not just that.
Underrated classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although the unedited footage, which the original cut was so fucking gory and over the top, they had to edit it, and sadly, it seems like the extra footage has been lost. Like this is something that now kind of has a status. Everybody still has their fingers crossed that one day we'll get to see the actual, the intended director's cut of it, but I don't think we will.
It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But there's far more to Bataille than all that stuff. While that stuff is fun, and while the limit experience I think is an important concept, the solar economy, the general economy, is far more important, and it really does get to something essential about the world we live in, and the tensions and contradictions that we face today. So yeah, welcome to that, everybody.
Yeah.
I think we'll just go ahead and get right into it. Forever hold your peace. If there are no objections, then we will continue on with this ceremony.
Let's do it.
All right. The laws of general economy. Hold on. I got highlighter on my PDF. Laws of general economy. The superabundance of biochemical energy and growth. That, as a rule, an organism has at its disposal greater energy resources than are necessary for the operations that sustain life, functional activities, and, in animals, essential muscular exercises, the search for food, is evident from functions like growth and reproduction. Neither growth nor reproduction would be possible if plants and animals did not normally dispose of an excess. The very principle of living matter requires that the chemical operations of life, which demand an expenditure of energy, be gainful, productive of surpluses. Let us consider a domestic animal. We want to.
Can we just say, because I think it's like he's making a very important claim here, and he's pretty clear here, but I think he could have made the claim a little bit more precisely. I think it's what he's saying here is every organism needs more energy than is necessary to sustain itself. Growth and reproduction attest to this. So even though he's not talking like Kant, excess energy is the transcendental condition of the growth and development of an organism. So you need more than you need in order to develop.
And I think the very principle of living matter requires that the chemical operations of life, which demand an expenditure of energy, be gainful, productive of surpluses. Like that is this underlying logic that matches or rhymes quite nicely with, a Schopenhauerian will, with this kind of just thing that just does what it does. The earth, plant life, animal life, all this stuff is just kind of chugging along, doing what it does. And the thing that allows it to continue doing that is the surplus. Like a plant, if for some reason a plant got caught in a negative feedback loop, or even a neutral feedback loop, or what, like a neutral homeostatic position or whatever, it would stop growing and it would not be able to go on to reproduce, because it doesn't have the material resources to do so. So that the surplus is always it's surpassing the individual organism and being reinvested into the general economy by way of growth, by way of reproduction, and it's not until we get to the human animal that these surpluses start to do something a little different, a little funny from the perspective of bare matter.
All I want to add is for us, I'm big. Like if I have a signifier that would be the main thing I'm about, it would be passion. It would be the life of passion, and excess energy of the existential sort is necessary for a human being to really have a passion. And the reason everybody's walking around burned out and, exhausted and in a state of disavowal, is because nobody has the energy to be able to meaningfully engage with the situation, be able to reckon with the real within reality, which is to say the crises, the real crises, the fundamental deadlocks. People don't have the fucking energy to deal with it. They don't have the energy to invest in a meaningful life passion. And so, yeah, and not only do you just need enough, you need more than enough energy.
Yep.
To be able to thrive and have a passion and be engaged in the most important crises and deadlocks of the situation. So,
Yeah.
Zapping us of our, existential energy is a very effective way of making sure we don't do anything.
Indeed. Let us consider a domestic animal, a calf. In order not to go too deeply into the matter, I will first leave aside the different contributions of animal or human energy that enable its food to be produced. Every organism depends on the contribution of others, and if this contribution is favorable, it extracts the necessary energy from it. But without it, the organism would soon die. Functional activity utilizes part of the available energy, but the animal commands an excess that ensures its growth. Under normal conditions, a part of this excess is lost in comings and goings, but if the stock grower manages to keep it inactive, the volume of the calf benefits. The saving appears in the form of fat. If the calf is not killed the moment he comes when the reduced growth no longer consumes all of an increased excess, the calf then reaches sexual maturity. Its vital forces are devoted mainly to the turbulence of the bull in the case of a male, or to pregnancy and the production of milk in the case of a female. In a sense, reproduction signifies a passage from individual growth to that of a group. If the male is castrated, its individual volume again increases for a time, and a considerable amount of work is extracted from it. Like bulls, they castrate bulls and then they call them steers, and then they stab them in arenas and call them rodeo bulls and stuff like that. Or do they not castrate them? Don't they just put rubber bands on their nuts? I don't know. I'm not a cowboy.
No, that's.
I think that's what they do.
No. So what do they use steers for?
I kind of snuck that one in
there. But yeah.
All right. So hold on. What would we say? What is the key takeaway here from this example? Like, I mean, I think we kind of already got to it, but I think it helps. Like, this is one of his key examples of what's going on. So for those who are just getting introduced to Bataille.
So the food, if it is bountiful and plentiful, then the calf can grow from calf into sexual maturity. And then it continues to metabolize all the energy, all that's wrapped up in the food. And if it's a male, it becomes a bull and it goes on to reproduce. And if it's a female, it gets pregnant, has babies, and makes milk. But it's down to this surplus. If you only fed the calf what it requires at X point in time, it would stay a calf forever. It only grows. Minimum. Yeah, it only grows and matures if you offer it bounty, if you offer it surplus. And then again, we see in the form of either the labor of the bull or the production of the female cow who produces more calves and milk. Like we're all already seeing how the surplus is once again extracted and reinvested into either the work on the farm or the steak on your plate or the milk in your milk jug or whatever. There's this continued legacy of surplus that starts out in the form of food and is transformed by the animal metabolism into steak or the pulling of the plow or the new calf or the milk in your milk jug.
Yeah, he's just talking about the
bare minimum is the bare minimum gets you bare life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just talking about the movement of energy and using this as an example for that, and the storage of resources, and even the generational movement of energy.
Yes. In nature, there is no artificial fattening of the newborn, nor is there castration. It was convenient for me to choose a domestic animal as an example, but the movements of animal matter are basically the same in all cases. On the whole, the excess energy provides for the growth or the turbulence of individuals. The calf and the cow, the bull and the ox, merely add a richer and more familiar illustration of this great movement. Plants manifest the same excess, but it is much more pronounced in their case. They are nothing but growth and reproduction. The energy necessary for their functional activity is negligible. But this indefinite exuberance must be considered in relation to the conditions that make it possible and that limit it.
Ooh, feed me, Seymour. All right, okay. They're not going to get that reference, whatever.
Yeah, I think the cool people will get it.
A couple, but little shop of horrors. Yeah, as a little kid, I just was like, little shop of horrors.
Yeah, I think we all
didn't
were.
know. Didn't even mean to say, like, just.
That's like wrapped up like a douche in the middle of the night. Wrapped up like a douche in the rumor in the night, blinded by the light. Yeah.
No one knew.
Okay, look, I'm referring to this example. If you guys haven't seen the movie, it's a musical starring Rick Moranis. Steve Martin's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a guy who, does he own it or does he just operate a plant store? I think he just operates it. Maybe I can't. It's been a minute.
Remember now.
But Rick Moranis operates a plant store, and they get this weird plant in. It's like a Venus flytrap.
It's like a Venus flytrap, yeah.
But it's really an alien type of entity, and all it wants to do is eat and eat and eat and eat and grow and grow and grow. And it gets to the point that it's wanting human food, and not food that humans eat, but rather humans as food.
Yeah, human qua food.
Right. But it's this great example of what Bataille is saying here about plants are like pure instantiations of this metabolism of pure excess.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it's just that. So that section, it's just to kind of to set up a thing cannot grow without a surplus. Like if you're constantly always in homeostasis, or if you're constantly always in a state of neutrality, then you'll be in a deadlock and things will remain stagnant. But because things do grow and reproduce and persist in this way, that shows us that there is a surplus.
Well, think about what we say about teenagers when they're growing. They eat you out of house and home.
Yeah,
right?
dude.
Because
they
have to eat more than what they actually need to biologically survive.
Yep.
The first time the exuberance of life. I think this is the first time he uses that term.
Yes. But I think he probably uses better words in French, and then this translation just fails to capture, because he uses. I
like exuberance.
Yeah. Well, he uses exuberance and ebullience a lot, and that's just kind of like plenitude, bounty, like,
and sort of like energetic too, and yeah.
The limits
being
of growth.
Being extra,
doing too much. All those plants and cows are doing too much. The limits of growth. I will speak briefly about the most general conditions of life, dwelling on one crucially important fact. Solar energy is the source of life's exuberant development. The origin and essence of our wealth are given in the radiation of the sun. which dispenses energy, wealth, without any return. The sun gives without ever receiving. Men were conscious of this long before astrophysics measured that ceaseless prodigality. They saw it ripen the harvests, and they associated its splendor with the act of someone who gives without receiving. It is necessary at this point to note a dual origin of moral judgments. In former times, value was given to unproductive glory, whereas in our day, it is measured in terms of production. Precedence is given to energy acquisition over energy expenditure. Glory itself is justified by the consequences of a glorious deed in the sphere of utility, but dominated though it is by practical judgment and Christian morality, the archaic sensibility is still alive. In particular, it reappears in the romantic protest against the bourgeois world. Only in the classical conceptions of the economy does it lose its rights entirely.
All right. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I mean, look, the sun and its solar energy are the sources of all life on Earth. But again, I'm sorry, like I see a forerunner to Deleuze's transcendental empiricism. The sun is the condition of human experience, right?
Oh, yeah.
If we don't exist within a certain very specific range of intensities, in particular the sun's temperature, the sun's ray, I mean, and if you move the earth closer to the sun, no more us. If we get too close, move us too far away, no more us. So human experience is dependent on the sun, right? But this is this materialist, empiricist way of talking about the transcendental that, you know, influenced Nick Land. And I really like this. I think this is one of his like great moments because there's so many philosophical consequences to what he just said that it's very easy to just read this and go, yeah, okay, got it. Kind of like Freud, because it is very clear. It's not filled with a bunch of technical jargon, and it's easy to just read it and go, oh yeah, I got it. Well, you don't got it because there's far-reaching consequences to this. And so, yeah. And then when he kicks into this other thing, the relationship between energy and the origin of moral judgments, right, is what he's getting at. This whole thing of productive glory versus unproductive glory, I think, is very important because I certainly want to champion expenditure, unproductive glory, consumption over production, even though I get it, production's part of this, but emphasizing the production ethics and the production mindset. Yeah, I'm more with Bataille on this.
Yeah,
for Bataille,
go ahead.
Oh, for Bataille, I think consumption is having, regardless, it's the way in which we use the energy that he's drawing attention to, whether it's used to go directly back into this system of production or whether it's used to fucking like peacock around like you might have done in the pre-modern times. I think when he says the former times versus in our day, he's talking about the pre-modern versus the age of capitalism. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
consumption has two, like, I guess we can view it in two different ways, right? Because on the one hand, it is, however, the energy is being dissipated or absorbed or utilized. But this thing with expenditure is, you know, Baudrillard, those guys, they're going to understand that as consumption, not consumerism.
Yeah.
But as consumption opposed to production.
It's the surplus is always deposed. So there's always expenditure. So yeah, there's always consumption. There's always expenditure. Like, how is that used? Is that used to just reinvest in this dumb machinic growth and reproduction? The churn itself, talking about inertial telos, Like, are we just wrapped up in this inertial telos of planet Earth, and are we going to continue going on in these ridiculous cycles of bust and boom and war and genocide and total chaos? Or are we going to stand up on the top of this mountain that represents centuries and eons of accumulation and expenditure and participate and be exuberant ourselves and say, I choose to expend in this way rather than just being an idiotic cog in this machine? We're gonna spend our wealth on making the world a better place. Or I'm gonna build a giant pyramid temple in the fucking jungle. And that just because, motherfucker, like, it's not about utility. It's not about necessity. It's about, I want to build a pyramid in the middle of the jungle.
Or you're going to expend your surplus that you've accumulated in symbolic exchange. This is where Baudrillard comes in.
Yep.
And, you know, the logic of the system is to constantly reinvest it in the system, not to foolishly, irrationally waste, even though capitalism obviously wastes. We know, we get it, but its value system isn't one that celebrates waste, not use value, not exchange value, not sign value. Symbolic exchange, which I'm not going to call symbolic value because the point is this defies value as a system. Symbolic exchange is about expenditure that builds meaningful bonds between people. And it's about how much you can sacrifice for the other, which means you're wasting, you're expending in a way that defies what we think of as economic logic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't believe, like, it's crazy how much Bataille's like already influenced the way I think. Cause like, it's like, he's talking about the flow of energy through calories through the cow. And then he's going to like, well, the same thing is happening. This is what he's going to do. It's like the same thing is happening with people, where we go from the caloric energy and then we transfer that into far more ebullient ways than the cow does, you know?
Yeah. It compounds and it becomes like an exponential compounding thing. So you like, and you can see how like that very same energy that caused the Earth to accrete around Sol billions of years ago, and then form into a planet, and then, you know, live through all these, or exist through all these eras, and then, you know, the first plant, the single-celled organism, and then bacteria, and like all this stuff, like all that same energy is still with us, and it's just been compounded and compounded and compounded. There's a surplus that goes all the way back, and through these layers of metabolism and accumulation and expenditure and reinvestment, it gets bigger and it gets more explosive, and it is catastrophic. If you fail to manage it, if you fail to express it properly, it'll blow up. It's a time bomb. You got to do something with it.
Let me give you an example of what I'm sorry, did I cut you off? I thought you were done. Okay. No. So here's where I like this image of symbolic exchange. So imagine back in the 90s, especially if you're on the West Coast, you're in Compton, you're there. Let's say you're a Crip or a Blood. You would go buy a 40-ounce OE or 40-ounce St. Ides. Yep. You know, and you would the capitalist value system's there. So the exchange value is whatever you pay for the 40. The use value is obviously you drink it to get drunk, right? And then the sign value back then would be, oh, I'm gangster, or I'm hood, or I'm hip hop, or West Coast hip hop. There's a certain semiotics, a web of semiotic associations that commodity had back then.
Got the 8 ball rolling.
But here's the thing. when you take that thing and then you just pour it out for your dead homies,
Some for the homies.
that violates the logic of value in the capitalist sense of the word. It's like, why? What are you doing? But wasting precisely is how you, even in death, maintain a meaningful exchange with somebody who is your friend.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it just goes against the other three types of value. It's like, what are you fucking doing? But it makes perfect sense from this symbolic human
Yep.
perspective. And so
I also really like Christian morality. Like the ancient gods were not us writ large. The ancient gods were nature. The ancient gods were the elements. The ancient gods were the cosmos itself, and they were chaotic and turbulent. And they were abundant, and they were excessive. And somehow this idea of God became a man, became a human. And so our ideas of what is virtuous and what is good became, being projected onto God in this weird, like retroactive kind of way. Morality comes from God, but doesn't morality kind of come from our lived experience? So we project onto our new gods, who are just big, powerful versions of us. And so we think, oh, it must be virtuous to accumulate wealth. It must be virtuous to be powerful. It must be virtuous to have some kind of accounting and value system that accounts for exchange. Whereas in the past, or in pre-modern, or even, non-modern, because I'm sure there are still some enclaves, some uncontacted tribes and stuff like that have different systems. But like this abundance, this God that just gives, whether you like it or not, this God gives regardless of good or bad or how it makes you feel. The God is just giving, and there is no possibility of returning to God. There is no possibility of God sucking you off to heaven and then you're living in paradise. Like, no, you are subject to the God's very will. I think that's a better version of God than all these anthropomorphic, unbarred big other versions of God, because living with the Judeo-Christian God, or going all the way back to Zoroastrianism, we already include this idea of like, no, we engage in exchange with God. And it's like, no, we don't. God shoots cosmic rays at us, and God shoots hurricanes at us, and God throws tigers at us, and lions and tigers and bears and woolly mammoths and all this stuff. Like we can't cope with God. Like, God is Lovecraftian in the pre-modern world. Like God is just truly cosmic. But then with, this Judeo-Christian version of like, oh, we engage in exchange with God. He commands us to do something, and then we repay him by doing what he commands us to do. That already is a kind of utilitarian logic, and this logic of accumulation. I have to accumulate enough good deeds to be rewarded by the gods. Like in the pre-modern world, there was no such thing as being rewarded by the gods. Now, you did have, sacrifice to sun gods to appease them and this and that. It gets hairy. But there's this core logic of like the giving God that gives whatever he fucking feels like, versus the God who you inter-exchange with by either being good or bad, and, oh, I'm going to do what you tell me to do, so you will reward me, oh Lord.
Well, we love the idea of convincing God to like, hey, just for real, do this for me.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you do that, like, how much of a God is he? Where he's like, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, it talks about Moses changing God's mind.
I'm saying,
like,
dude.
It's just like
God is the big subject. God is the unbarred big subject. And I reject
and that's
him.
the thing. The in the image and likeness of God. I mean, especially the God of the Bible. What's interesting there, he's very much like us, because half the time he's about these strict rules and saying no and limiting, and then there's these outbursts of just extreme excess, and it's like, oh yeah, you are kind of like us, aren't you?
Yeah.
Or we're kinda like you.
Yeah, I mean that there's so much there, but like the ancient gods, the pre-modern gods, they are kind of like us too. Like they're like just more human than human. Like they're just like extra fucking excessive. They're fucking nuts, you know? And like, but the idea of good, of God being good, that comes about with Christianity. And you see Plato actively trying to do that in the Republic, of associate God with goodness.
Yeah.
And rebuke and like turn against the Homer and the gods of his day, and say that no, actually goodness has to be in the gods, and there has to be this like moral relationship and this covenant, starting with Judaism. So, which is
John,
very unlike
eternal damnation.
Yeah.
Is eternal damnation reconcilable with a good God?
Well, then you get into the problem of evil, but like that's a whole other can of worms.
Right. Yeah, we don't we have to go down.
But like I think that is kind of the difference, is like the gods are just chaotic. They're amoral.
Yeah.
Then they become moral.
Yeah.
Or like the Christian God is moral, the Jewish God is moral or becomes moral over time. Or something like that, and then, but the Greek pantheon, the Roman pantheon, they're totally amoral. You know?
Yeah, and I like that. I prefer that. I prefer my divinity, and my cosmic forces to not be like me. I just reject the idea, that God is an all-powerful human. I don't know. I think the guy who created the entire universe.
It's weird.
Yeah,
it's hella weird. It's really weird to think of. Like, I think it's ridiculous, actually. Like, I think it's even for Christians themselves to think of God as a person, like a dude you can like have a chat with. I think is like very strange, like verging on heretical. And like Christians who think that way should probably rethink the way they think their own religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's not only a person. He's a person who has an extreme fixation on what you do with your genitals.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I'm just saying, like, I think that if you can fit, even as a Christian, if you can fit your God onto a bumper sticker or into like a casual conversation, I think you should probably like really rethink the God that you conceive of. Are you really talking to God? How the fuck do you know?
Yeah.
How the fuck do you, even from a Christian perspective, how do you know you're talking to God?
So
how do you know that's not the
universe
devil?
is more moralistic than we are. It's just like, that's where it's like really like, I love that line Tupac says, I think it's on Blasphemy, where he's like, so is God just another cop waiting to beat my ass if I don't go pop? Like, it's just like, all right, dude, you care a little bit too much about some of this shit.
Yeah, I think whatever's responsible for the entire cosmos doesn't have time to make up silly rules about what silly little creatures like us get up to in our spare time.
Well, I thought of foreskin, but then I thought better of it. So I'm just course correcting.
Yeah, dude. Get rid of that. Never mind. Chop that shit off. That's your rite of passage, dude.
But I like looking back. I like thinking about these old texts as though like, this is how I like to think about it, is why did this make sense to those people at that time? Because it seems absurd to us, and it is from our perspective, but like to them, this actually made sense.
No, and when you get into it, viewing it as social technology, like this is a way to keep people, keep them behaving properly.
It's the same thing with like kosher and halal and like all like it was about health and hygiene, and like people discovered things, and then they were like, oh, I can avoid getting a dick infection by chopping off this weird flap of skin. I'm going to do that. And then it became instantiated. And then also like, oh, when I eat this raw seafood, it makes my belly hurt. So maybe God actually told us don't eat raw seafood. Like it over time it evolves.
But I think sometimes people see it as though this like evil scheming priest class designed religion, invented religion to control the masses. And I'm like, it's like way more complicated than that. There might be a priest class. It might be evil, but like, look, some of this social technology through religion was very necessary. They didn't have the shit we have today. They didn't have the understanding. They had no way to get it. You know what I mean?
Back in the Old Testament, some of the rules, isn't there like a like don't fuck turtles or something? It's like, yeah, if motherfuckers have to be told that, go ahead and tell them that. Like,
there's like what, like 613 of those old silly rules like that. That really makes me wonder what do we get up to today that 2,000 years from now, 5,000 years from now, if anybody still exists, what are they gonna think are just like the absurd?
The way that we eat animals will be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I do think so. I was vegan for a long time, and I stopped it because it was just too damn hard to maintain. But I do think it's fucked up that we eat animals. I really do.
Well, yeah, and here's my thing. This is where I'm fine with simulation. If you actually look, we know the problem with capitalism is they're going to cut costs and they're going to sell us shit that poison us because it's cheaper. But let's set that shit aside. If we could actually grow synthetic meat that really tastes the same way,
all over it,
same nutrient, same thing, bring it the fuck on.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, it takes some getting used to get past the thought dimension of it, but
assuming it's not full of fucking what you said, but like assuming it's not full of fucking bullshit. God knows what they're
mind control nanoparticles.
No, I want a Star Trek steak.
Yeah, I want the Star Trek. I want the replicator, the matter replicator. I want that. I also feel the same way about...
We gotta get that after fucking capitalism, though, because if we get it during capitalism, we're fucked.
Yeah,
we're fucked.
It's brain control nanoparticles, and then you're just gonna be the mindless robot.
And just on demand anything you want when you're tired, like all the time from working, and like an even shittier job than you have now, because now they're watching your brainwaves while you're sitting at the desk. You know,
you work 20 hours at the dick sucking factory, and then go home and get a bunch of donuts and Coca-Cola and then you die at 25 years old. Like, we're actually reversing the progress that modernity gave to us.
And you're happy the whole time because you have no choice.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so fucking happy about all this.
No, I honestly, I feel the same way about reproduction as I do about synthetic meat. I think synthetic meat is awesome. I can't wait till we get it. And I feel the same way about reproduction, dude. Like, people are like, oh, you know, porn is everywhere and cyber sex and virtual sex and what is gender? I'm afraid of weird gender stuff. I'm all fucking for it, dude. Like, it's happening. It's coming. I don't think it's wise to be a moralist about it. I think the world is changing. And guess what, guys? The world is constantly fucking changing around us, and it's up to us to be reasonable and to act ethically and to try to act intelligently and try to be aware of what really matters. And sticking your penis inside a wet tunnel is not the most important thing in the world. It's still fun. It's still enjoyable, but we will come up with different technologies. I mean, just think about, I don't know, I'm sure there are people who freak out about giving birth in hospitals now. Like, there's this growing movement of people who are like, don't go to a hospital to have your baby. Have your baby in the bathtub at home, or find a tree and hang on to a low branch and just poop that little fucker out. And like, people make it this moral crusade against modernity. And it's like, but it's actually better to have your baby in a hospital because they can treat any illnesses or infections, and they can like come up with stuff, and it's safer. Like, in general, it's better. I can see.
And so give them vaccines that turn them
into transgender vegans, and that's bad. God hates transgender vegans, so don't go to the hospital. It's so absurd, man. I mean, the world is fucking horrible, and the trajectory that we're on, the trajectory that modernity is taking us on, is this process of ultimate objectification that leads to the destruction of the subject, that leads to the destruction of humanity and all we hold dear. But it's not coming in the form of vaccines, and it's not coming in the forms of sexual proclivities and gender expression and stuff like that. Like, it's coming in the form of being squished under capital. I get so angry with moralist reactionary twerps who all they can do is like pretend play act. Like, let's go back to the 1600s It's like, you would die, dude. You wouldn't last a day, dude. And we've talked about this before too, but it's just so silly.
Wait, there's no air conditioning here?
Yeah.
Fucking yuck.
Yeah. But there's this surplus that we have to manage. And how are we going to choose to manage it? Are we going to choose to just blindly keep reinvesting it in the machine of objectification? Or are we going to get our wits about us and try to invest it in ways to build human connections? Engage in symbolic exchange instead of being beholden to the logic of utility and accumulation.
So I like his point here. So in the next two paragraphs before we switch to pressure, seems like the point is the limit of growth is the beginning of excess energy. However, it is space that is the real limit at play.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, let's read through.
I think this is an interesting point he's going to make here.
Solar radiation results in a superabundance of energy on the surface of the globe. But first, living matter receives this energy and accumulates it within the limits given by the space that is available to it. It then radiates or squanders it, but before devoting an appreciable share to this radiation, it makes maximum use of it for growth. Only the impossibility of continuing growth makes way for squander. Hence, the real excess does not begin until the growth of the individual or group has reached its limits. The immediate limitation for each individual or each group is given by the other individuals or other groups. But the terrestrial sphere, to be exact, the biosphere, which corresponds to the space available to life, is the only real limit. The individual or group can be reduced by another individual or another group, but the total volume of living nature is not changed. In short, it is the size of the terrestrial space that limits overall growth.
You can't have infinite growth on a finite planet.
Right.
And it's going to produce conflict between groups if you try. I think he's already alluding at that.
Yeah, I like that.
The immediate limitation for each individual or group is given by the other individuals or other groups.
Because we all want the same shit. We all want to eat. Everybody's got to eat.
Yeah. Well, and it's like we all got to share this planet together. And not just with, other people, but with the what is it? The volume of living matter. Like, we are part of the volume of living nature. So I don't know.
Why do so many humans have problems with that? Like, they have such a trouble thinking like, hey, bacteria and dolphins and ants, like they're just as much entitled to this planet as we are. No, they're not. Like, there's like a no, they're not that they have as a default setting.
Gestel. Be stand.
You know what though? Does this? I mean, maybe this goes off too much, but I don't know. I just feel like there's a residual effect of the Eden myth, where it's like, no, we rule, we give them names, and we blah blah blah, and it's like,
this is shaping up to be a very anti-Christian episode.
Well, I'm just saying, like, but that's kind of there was I give dominion to you, like.
Well, the argument would be it's dominion for stewardship would be the argument, right?
Sure.
That many liberal Christians would make.
Once dominion's there, it's all just, we're gonna do what we want.
Look, man.
I don't know.
I'm all for stewardship. I really am, and I think it's excellent. What probably a lot of people are doing, where they're saying, no, we're here to take stewardship. We're not here to operationalize the world. We're here to be stewards over it. I'm all for it. But it seems to be the case that that's not your average Christian type person, like
Not
your average
Protestant capitalist prosumer subject.
Yeah.
But it's true, but it does exist, and I think you can negotiate with people on the basis of what they already believe. Emphasize the Saint Francis. Let's downplay the like burning witches and shit. You know what I mean? Like that's there in the tradition. The Saint Francis is there. Let's, as you know, when we're talking about ecology, especially, you know.
Yeah.
Well, here's the issue. Capital will not let that stewardship.
That's the thing, dude. And I think
that's the thing.
I think we there's no such thing as a Christian today. It's all the capitalist subject. They're all the consumer subject.
Well,
they're not the Christian
in a sense,
subject.
what you guys are talking about with stewardship is symbolic exchange with non-human entities.
Yeah.
And
but I think
capital is not letting us symbolically exchange with each other, let alone with fucking bees.
Right. Yeah. And I think, Nance, you saying that there are no Christians today, I think is like that leaves open the possibility that like Christianity can be better. You know what I mean?
I think so for sure.
Yeah.
I think
that's important. You know?
Yeah. I'm a virulent atheist, but I also celebrate, like, there is an excellent version of Christianity, and I've met and know excellent Christians, but by and large, what gets called Christianity today is just rotten capitalism dressed up in a fancy coat.
Dude, I'm writing something on this. Like, it's like capital is wearing the skin of Christianity, walking around in its skin suit. Like, is the metaphor I'm using.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
No. It's so funny you said that, because I was about to say, yeah, capitalism does have a human face, and that human face is Christianity, but it's wearing it in the way that Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally. It's like it's just got its arm up its ass and it's just moving it around like a puppet. That's capitalism and in Christianity.
Yeah.
Today.
And it's
if
a shame.
you give to God will give back to you in bountiful riches. And all you have to do is do one offering. Send $5,000 to me.
Yeah.
Do your faith offering. Yeah. And God will pay you back tenfold.
And disavowal has got to be at work in this, because it's so, like, the televangelists are so naked about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious. Like, or even Trump waving the Bible around, like, this makes you guys happy, doesn't it? And yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's so obvious how cynical.
So look,
it is.
when all of us were hooked on cable TV, and that was our default setting, not these streaming services, we all knew what channels played the televangelists every night. Like, where are they now? I guess I haven't looked forever.
They're still around, because the boomers are still around.
Well,
so
yeah.
They're still
Fox,
watching TV.
But they're also all over the internet, dude. Like the religious internet is it's such a fucked up place, dude. And it's also the mega churches and shit. And, you go to the mega church. What's that HBO show, The Righteous Gemstones?
Oh, that's
like those are all over the place.
Dude,
and it is very
weird
much.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's very much a disavowal, because you see so many of the congregants or the members of the church or whatever going, and they're struggling. But for that 5 hours on Sunday or whatever it is, they get to live in this fantasy world where they see their representation. The boisterous, gregarious pastor becomes their double. And so they get to say, they have it. They have it. And at least I can vicariously have it through them.
So, it is, I was part of a church for a while. I was on my way to being, if not a pastor, then at least a Bible teacher. And dude, like, the stories of the radical disavowal of, I know very well pastor blah 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 is X, Y, and Z, but nevertheless, and that they just could go on not being impacted by what they knew to be the case about the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, look, maybe it's like, oh, pat on the back for me. But I left because I was impacted by it.
There's some weird shit going on with like millennial rebrandings of Christianity right now too, which is a whole different thing. Like in across the river in Vancouver, BC, there's a coffee church. It's like espresso, like millennial hip coffee church.
Dude,
it's like hella weird. I don't know. Anyway, we're getting really far afield, but that's another weird thing that's happening.
Oh man, every day we stray further from God. Pressure. As a rule, the surface of the globe is invested by life to the extent possible. By and large, the myriad forms of life adapt to the available resources, so that space is its basic limit. Certain disadvantaged areas, where the chemical operations essential to life cannot take place, seem to have no real existence. But, taking into account a constant relation of the biomass to the local climatic and geological conditions, life occupies all the available space. These local conditions determine the intensity of the pressure exerted in all directions by life. But one can speak of pressure in this sense only if, by some means, the available space is increased. This space will be immediately occupied in the same way as the adjoining space. Moreover, the same is true every time life is destroyed at some point on the globe, by a forest fire, by a volcanic phenomenon, or by the hand of man. The most familiar example is that of a path that a gardener clears and maintains. Once abandoned, the pressure of the surrounding life soon covers it over again with weeds and bushes swarming with animal life.
So what do you think the takeaway is there?
We are naturally up against a limit. And then we turn around and fuck it up for ourselves by not effectively dealing with this surplus, and we have explosions like war. Or we have, like, at the micro scale, we have explosions like personal violence and domestic violence and shit like that.
Yep.
So we're actually like squandering a surplus that doesn't yet exist, and we're actually like precluding the possibility of this surplus to ever come into existence by killing shit and keeping it out of the way. I think kind of there is a way to live in harmony that is not dictated by the logic of accumulation, that is not dictated by the logic of utility. Like, we would have to reorient ourselves around something like a symbolic exchange, something like, hey, I'm going to waste my time with you because I appreciate you and you make me feel good and I want to do it, rather than, oh, I need to invest in all this Forex trading stuff, and I need to this, and we need to be military powerful, and we need to go fucking invade Venezuela and Greenland and like all this dumb shit. Like, we have this dominating point of view. Once again, going back to dominion. Dominion is actually causing us to fail to live up to our potential, to not be able to grow into our own plenitude. We are artificially arrested. We're in this suspended animation. We being the human species as a whole, because we're not living according to this harmonic or natural ebb and flow of energy.
Yeah, I think he totally agrees with you, Nance. But I think what he's saying here is that, like, what he's alluding to or beginning to allude to is that, like, life has to learn the hard way, that lesson that you're talking about. You know, there will always be this pressure and this, you know, life gets carried away, and we're the same. We've gotten carried away, you know, and that pressure is going to build in a localized area. Right?
Yeah. If the path is paved with asphalt, it is for a long time sheltered from the pressure. This means that the volume of life possible, assuming that the path were abandoned instead of being covered with asphalt, will not be realized. That the additional energy corresponding to this volume is lost, is dissipated in some way. This pressure cannot be compared to that of a closed boiler. If the space is completely occupied, if there is no outlet anywhere, nothing bursts, but the pressure is there. In a sense, life suffocates within limits that are too close. It aspires in manifold ways to an impossible growth. It releases a steady flow of excess resources, possibly involving large squanderings of energy. The limit of growth being reached, life, without being in a closed container, at least enters into ebullition. Without exploding, its extreme exuberance pours out in a movement always bordering on explosion.
So this one I think is a little tricky to see. How does this apply to the human world? Is he talking about where you're building in? It's almost, I hate to say it, what we feel building in America, especially since 2020 or 2016. You just feel like this pressure is building and building and building, without any pressure release valve. And so I'm wondering what he said here. How would this apply to this situation we're dealing with, do you think?
I think
just with the use of just with the use of resources and energy, like look at, like, life is getting carried away, and like we are biological life, and we are channeling and directing energy. Like, look at the AI race. Like, that is energy, the use of energy, that is life getting carried away. And it's through the movement of synthetic materials, but that's because it's us, and that's what we do. You know, so like we're no different from nature. You know, so this pressure is building, and there's this competition over the resources, like the lack of water in Phoenix, for one example. You know, and they're building these fucking data centers even though there's no fucking water. So, yeah.
I think that the container being too close, like we, rather than entering into an exuberant, ebullient state or phase or whatever, where we can manage our expenditure and in a good and thoughtful way, like we're just going to explode. Like we're going to fuck ourselves over.
This is a situation of cyber positivity where just the structure that's containing all of this energy has to burst at some point.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
that's the
because
thing.
we don't. Yeah. Go ahead, Nance.
Like the expenditure is coming, whether you want it to come or not. God is shooting cosmic rays at you, no matter what you do, no matter if you appease him or if you displease him. The expenditure is coming, and in the getting carried away, like we're actually going to damage ourselves. We're going to use up all our own resources, and we're actually going to fail to reach that point of having more surplus to then go on to keep growing and escape.
Yeah, and like another example with the data centers again is like in Texas, where they're building so many of them, like the price of real estate is going up so much to service the people who are coming to build them, who are making out like bandits, and good for them. But then the people who live there, like this pressure is building because the people who live there can't afford, because their wages aren't increasing. So their wages are the same. Meanwhile, the cost of living has like increased by like 30%, you know? And so they're just like, what the fuck do? I live here, you know? So it's like the economy is just layered on top of this. And so the economy is just an extension of the biological, you know, where he's using the example of plant life. And this is just, it's all layered on top of that.
Yeah. Like we are because we're painting ourselves into a corner, or we're, you know, putting brick and mortar around our own little mausoleum. Like we're actually going to replace ourselves with this synthetic life, because the synthetic life needs our space, because we have reached a limit. Like we, rather than being able to go off and colonize the stars, we spent all our time going to war and doing horrible shit to one another, and we're still stuck here on planet Earth. But life is finding a way regardless, and life is passing us by. And so when no one can afford houses, and when no one can afford food, and when there's no land to grow crops on anyway, and no land to do agriculture on anyway, because it's all server farms, like the AI or the data centers or whatever, like that is still this metabolic process, this caloric deposition of the superabundance coming from the sun. Just because it doesn't look like us, just because it doesn't look like life, it still is this story of life continuing. And so we're going to build a bunch of data centers. They're going to take up all the space and artificially squeeze us to where humans die. But guess what? We have all the data centers in the world, and then it'll just be a cold, lonely planet with computers humming away till the end of eternity, or until they run out of fucking space.
Enjoy your isolation, Robo Cthulhu.
Yeah. The consequences of this situation do not easily enter into our calculations. We calculate our interests, but this situation baffles us. The very word interest is contradictory with the desire at stake under these conditions. As soon as we want to act reasonably, we have to consider the utility of our actions. Utility implies an advantage, a maintenance, or growth. Now, if it is necessary to respond to exuberance, it is no doubt possible to use it for growth. But the problem raised precludes this. Supposing there is no longer any growth possible, what is to be done with the seething energy that remains? To waste it is obviously not to use it, and yet what we have is a draining away, a pure and simple loss, which occurs in any case. From the first, the excess energy, if it cannot be used for growth, is lost. Moreover, in no way can this inevitable loss be accounted useful. It is only a matter of an acceptable loss, preferable to another that is regarded as unacceptable. A question of acceptability, not utility. Its consequences are decisive, however.
Dude, I think that's crucial. Like, do you guys think when he's saying acceptability, he's talking about what is socially acceptable for you to use energy for?
Yeah,
and
dude.
so it's like the way in which we think of things that's acceptable to use is like, it's not acceptable. Like Mikey, it's not acceptable, like you said, to pour one out, except under very specific circumstances. And it's certainly unacceptable for you to walk into the street and start lighting money on fire. People would lose their shit if you start taking Benjamins and lighting them on fire.
Yep.
People would fucking flip out, you know? So it's like,
it's one thing
some
if you're
things are
making it rain at the
acceptable
club,
and they're not, you know?
Like all you're doing when you make it rain, that's not pure, because you're just passing it along. But if you were to set that shit on fire, boo.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, but you can make it rain. You can waste money in that way. Night. Yeah. In
the Dark Knight, that giant mountain of money just is like,
just want to watch the world burn. That fucking guy.
Give him a bigger. What's he say? I bet I'm going to give him a better type of criminal or something. And he's saying like, I'm so defying what motivates you guys. Like, yeah, you're criminals, but your mindset and your basic interests are all compatible with the system, even though you're violating the system. Like, you're still tapped into its logic. No, I'm so outside of it that I'll burn this giant fucking mountain of money. I don't give a fuck. Like,
yeah.
And that's where it's like, you can't control this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't you like how that's unacceptable to burn a pile of money? That's totally unacceptable, but it's perfectly acceptable to do the data center shit, to gamble with the entire economy. That's acceptable, you know?
Yeah.
Even though that's just fucking burning money
part
too.
Of the plan.
Yeah.
Pure and simple.
So I just would
loss.
say that yeah, the limit of growth is the limit of utility. There will be pure loss.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's the question, is how do we deal with this pure loss?
Yeah. Well, and in the animal world, that's poop. That's literally what we call waste. The surplus goes into the calf. It uses all the calories and all the things in it to grow. But there's what it can't use to grow, it poops out, and it becomes, because we are still trapped in the general economy, it becomes fertilizer, which then goes on to be nutrients for more plants and blah blah blah. But there's always poop. You gotta investigate, where is the poop? Like, are you choosing to take a shit, or are you going to shit your pants and try to play it off like, no, I'm actually rescuing the economy. Let me build all my data centers and burn all this money, but it's good for you.
Well, it's funny, right? Like, that's a great example. And what was Lacan, one of his famous quips, that it's only with the human that shitting becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And you could translate that into Bataillean terms. Only with the human does pure loss become a problem.
Yeah. Only with the modern capitalist modality of human does it become a problem. Because again, in other versions of society, they have different attitudes toward waste. Now, look, shit is still a problem, because people are like, ooh, that's gross and unhygienic. Let's let's have a midden heap somewhere else. But the way they handle like death and decay is so different. Like, in the past, your dead people were celebrated in the center of the little village or whatever, and they were laid out.
Exactly. When we get to the next chapter.
Yeah, like you're with the dead, and they continue to give in this way. Whereas now,
that's why Baudrillard was so big on those gift economies.
Yep.
I think dying in hospitals is fucking weird. Like,
Dude.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like such a strange thing from the perspective
Don't
of
you think
the
it's so
entire
much
rest
more,
of like
isn't it
human
so much more,
history.
Isn't it so much more human to do a kind of euthanasia Jack Kevorkian thing, where it's like, that you're on a trajectory that is going to lead to pain, suffering, and humiliation. And instead of letting a person say, okay, I want to gather my loved ones, I want to humanely be injected with something that just makes me fall asleep, and that's it. And I want to be there with everybody I love, and I just want to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Why is that so horrible?
I agree with you. I mean, this is a can of worms too, but I don't think the state should be involved in that shit. Like, at all. But I agree with you, like, on the level of the family, on the level of the individual, etc., on the level of the
state would have to be involved, even if it was to say we're not involved. Like, to say this is not something I'm gonna enforce.
The prohibition is still state involvement. But no, I
like, maybe I could see it being like something that the state like makes an opening for families to do, but like the state administering it, I think is like, creates very bad incentives.
Well, then we turn into Soylent Green, but no, I mean,
but who should administer it? A capitalist?
No, a fucking doctor.
There should be such a thing as communities that should exist. I
agree. I'm making the point that it's like, in our situation, it's either the state or capital, and it's like, can we have a third pill?
Yeah, exactly. Something, I don't know, fucking human.
The human, yuck.
Yuck.
That is post modernity right there. In a sentence, human, yuck. That's what it is.
Yuck.
All right. The first effect of pressure, extension. It is hard to define and precisely represent the pressure thus exerted. It is both complex and elusive, but one can describe its effects. An image comes to mind then, but I must say in offering it that it illustrates the consequences, yet does not give a concrete idea of the cause. Imagine an immense crowd assembled in the expectation of witnessing a bullfight that will take place in a bull ring that is too small. The crowd wants badly to enter, but cannot be entirely accommodated. Many people must wait outside. Similarly, the possibilities of life cannot be realized indefinitely. They are limited by space, just as the entry of the crowd is limited by the number of seats in the bull ring. A first effect of the pressure will be to increase the number of seats in the bull ring. If the security service is well organized, this number is limited precisely. But outside, there may be trees and lampposts from the top of which the arena is visible. If there is no regulation against it, there will be people who will climb these trees and lampposts. Similarly, the earth first opens to life the primary space of the waters and the surface of the ground, but life quickly takes possession of the air. To start with, it was important to enlarge the surface of the green substance of plants, which absorbs the radiant energy of light. The superposition of leaves in the air extends the volume of this substance considerably. In particular, the structure of trees develops this possibility well beyond the level of the grasses. For their part, the winged insects and the birds, in the wake of the pollens, invade the air. So that's describing how life finds a way. Once again, shout out Jeff Goldblum. Life
What up, Jeff?
finds a way.
We know you're watching. We know you're a fan.
Yeah.
What if he was? That'd be sick.
Of course. Well, hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Can you please give us all money? Because and adopt me.
I need
Will you
Michael
adopt me,
Keaton's
Jeff?
Bruce. We need Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne to just show up and go, I'll forgive him a grant.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely. You know, what's his name?
What was his name? Knox? Give Knox a grant.
But yeah, this the first effective pressure extension just details what happens. Life will take up all the available space, and life is bacteria, life is mold, life is plants, and then it's animals, and then it's humans, and increasingly so, it's something else. It's what we create. It's our machines that are coming after, and they're taking up our space. But in the describing of the bull ring, I also think about Zacchaeus from the Bible. This has been such a Bible heavy conversation. But Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. He climbed up on a sycamore tree, and then I don't remember the rest of the song. But when all the, I guess, rational or socially approved space is taken up, when all the seats in the bull ring are taken up, life is so persistent that it doesn't care what is and is not socially acceptable. It's going to climb up the sycamore tree. It's going to climb up the lampposts. And guess what? It's also going to fill the air, and it's also going to fill the seas. Like, life is this thing that is going to happen whether you like it or not. And we are part of life. So our version of what is and is not socially acceptable is just fucking orthogonal to the logic of life. Like we are trying to master Earth. We are trying to dominate Earth, and all the processes, all the metabolic processes. But we're also in this state of like weird disavowal. Like you do have people talking about, let's be a green corporation. Let's go green friendly. Like, hey, I'm Starbucks. I'm going to fucking be green. And like, not only am I going to stop using Guatemalan slaves to pick my coffee, I'm also going to use environmentally friendly packaging in my coffee cups. And we're going to get electric vehicles, and never mind the slaves that mine the precious minerals that make the batteries in the electric vehicles.
Don't look over there.
Yeah. But we're not ever going to be eco-friendly. We're not ever going to be green until we understand the logic of accumulation itself is destructive. Like, the logic of accumulation itself presents these deadlocks for this surplus of energy, the superabundance that are destructive. Like when you have the deadlock, it's either going to be a catastrophic explosion or it'll just wither away. All the resources will become depleted and life will wither away. One of those things will happen if we don't manage this excess.
But the true, but the only response that we have to this deadlock is like do a communism again. We have to overcome capitalism. And I just think like, sorry, we tried that multiple times in different
but
countries.
not with an automated infrastructure based in algorithmic computation.
Sure, but the lever that we used is broken off in our hands, like we talked about last time, which is basically the strike and running to the hills.
Well, here's the deal,
guerrilla
dude.
warfare and striking. You know, that shit ain't gonna work
Here's
anymore.
The deal. I was fucking just today telling Mikey, like the truth of, I don't know, my version of Marxism is not class contradiction and it's not class warfare. The truth of it is universal lack.
And I agree.
The historicity of Marxism and of communism latched on to the working class and class contradictions.
Yeah.
Because historically, like that was the
best
prime expression of lack. Like the proletariat, the workers able to recognize themselves as lacking were able to enact themselves upon the bourgeoisie and the state and the church and the owners and like all this shit because they represented plenitude. They represented abundance. They represented this unbarred big other. But we saw that didn't work and we must move on. Like if we want to preserve the hope of fuck it, let's call it communism. Like again, that word itself is so problematic. I don't think any of us want to call it communism. I would be much happier with a humanism or something, just a politics of universal lack. But in order to actually achieve a politics of universal lack, we have to get the people who care about it in the first place, which tend to be Marxists or communists. We have to get them to realize that the truth of communism is universal lack. It's not class contradiction. It's not just class contradiction. Class contradiction is there and it's important, but it's not just class contradiction. It's not just seize the means of production. And it never was in the first place. That's why it failed ultimately, because what really happened, people latched onto this signifier of working class, class contradiction. And that's why it could not be successful, because once they left universal lack and they became latched onto this new signifier, the project falls apart. Yeah.
No, I only laughed while you were talking because like, I agree with everything you're saying, except for I think that it's just funny to me that I think that maybe the last people to abandon like, or the last people to actually be on a path towards like trying to overcome capitalism might be Marxists. That might be the last people, because like the old strategies just that for the most part, they're so addicted to are just not gonna fucking work. And I really think that where I'm at now is I think that the only way that capitalism isn't going to be overcome through a war with a bang. It's going to be eroded from within.
Yeah,
I think that's the only way. It's going to be morphed into
already.
something else.
My thing is, I would tell capitalists, hey guys, I know Jeff Bezos watches. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Another Jeff.
Will you give us some money, Jeff?
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
And Jeff, like, I hate to break the news to you. Robo Cthulhu is not just coming for my job. It's coming for your job, bud.
Yeah. He knows. I think Jeff knows that.
Absolutely. Sorry. Hi, Elon. You too. We know you watch the show.
Yeah.
Robo Cthulhu's coming for you, sir.
Yeah, especially you, because you're a bitch, homie. But
all right, so good cop, bad cop. That's what we're doing here. All right, so Elon.
Let me at him. No, I don't think spectacular revolution is going to get anybody anywhere. And it's very frustrating because the people who talk about it have no idea what that looks like. You don't want to be marching in the street with a fucking rifle. You don't want to be. You don't, dude. You don't want a violent fucking revolution.
Yeah.
But then the question becomes, what happens with the capitalists when they realize nobody's there to fucking service them? Like, I have no servants. Fucking yuck.
Yeah.
And no, it becomes a moment. I mean, we can say the AI bots will do it, but sorry, your shit falls apart if nobody has money to buy your shit. And you need us as consumers, homies.
Sorry, I'm going to step away for 1 minute. Sorry.
No, don't go.
1 second.
Cool.
All right. But no, fuck, I like Bataille.
I do too. And I think with on the capitalism being overcome and on this honestly feeling of helplessness where it's like, well, the only thing we can do to kind of get us unaddicted to this logic of accumulation is something like communism, but that's not going to work. What are we going to do? Like, that is why I think we're fucked. I think either we will go to war, we will try revolution, and we'll all get fucking nuked, or we'll just all continue to live our shitty little lives, and they'll get progressively worse over time, and it'll just erode. Zero acceleration. Like, it's either violent fucking we're gonna nuke ourselves.
Hi, James.
Yeah,
he might actually
James?
want.
Yeah. But no,
we have a chance with James.
I think zero acceleration is far more likely than anything else. And that's fucking scary.
Which, if you guys don't know, zero. I mean, I just use this to kind of get to the point quickly. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Like, it's when the system hits that 0 point of breakdown and it's hyper collapse, as James calls it.
Yep.
And we don't get any of the cool Lovecraftian digital voodoo Nick Land's talking about. We just get fucking Mad Max world.
Yep.
I might have just missed the explanation, so ignore this if I did. But why does that happen? Talking
about what is most likely to happen, like will capital ever be overcome? It doesn't look good. Shake the magic 8 ball. Looks unlikely.
And the system could very well break down entirely before we reach artificial superintelligence, nanobots, anything of that Nick Land was talking about.
I think we need to be okay with, like, I think so many people on the left have this like existential panacea, this horizon of the overcoming of capital. And I'm like, I don't think I need that as my master signifier. I think that there are like social democracy is like making capital work for us. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay if it comes out again, we find a new way to make capitalism work for us, to change it into something that doesn't want to eat us.
Yeah.
Overthrowing it spectacularly. I just don't need this as like the principle for which I organize my existence. Like,
I don't even want to call something, if wage labor is overcome within our basic economy that we have right now, I don't want to call that capitalism anymore.
Yeah, it's not, right?
Well, but the thing is, but if there's still the commodity form, and we're still consumers and we use money to buy consumables and blah, 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 there's this other argument to say, yeah, it is. But my thing is, if we get to the point where there's little to no wage labor, we're in something else though. Mm-hmm. And then I start to be very negotiable with what happens from there on. My enemy is wage labor.
Right.
And if Nick or somebody else can go, well, actually we can have capital without wage labor, then it's like, do I give a shit if no, I just don't want to have to fucking be in wage labor.
But the devil, like I sympathize, believe me, but I think the devil is also in the details as far as like if it's like techno serfdom or some shit like that, and like corporations, what used to be corporations, own your fucking soul, and you don't have to work, but they already do. But I know, and like I'm saying I sympathize. I'm just saying also like the options for how this goes are endless, and some of them are hell.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I agree. I really do. I just also think that the future is so open, and it could go so many different ways.
I think
fair enough.
My enemy is this objectifying logic that currently presents itself as capitalism. But we see how it's operating. It's operating, super ego, disavowal, simulation. Like it's doing all this shit, and it is eating us. It's currently eating us. And yeah, I think to try and imagine what form that takes is almost admitting defeat. I think the only thing is trying to figure out a world where we aren't dominated by this process that is turning us all into objects. That's eating up all the space that's available for life.
The main mechanism turning us into objects is wage labor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what I'm looking for is in the near future where wage labor is less, not only like less important to the economy, but it's less and less a lever that we can use to get what we need to survive and to thrive. Then like we need to be searching for the new lever of power and how to organize it in the not too distant future. You know what I mean? Because that was the lever, you know, to get some kind of existence for the vast majority of people. So we need to find a new one,
I think we got to get off.
But the thing is that lever doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. We got to get off
not like
Earth.
It used to anyway.
We gotta get more space, because I think it'll take us too long to break this logic. I think we need more space to give us more time to figure it out.
There is a human energy building. We all feel it. And wage labor is the container, and it can't contain this forever.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's going to burst.
Yeah.
And jobs are just getting shittier too. They're just getting worse.
Which like exponentially, cranks up the ressentiment, cranks up the bitterness, cranks up the hopelessness, cranks up the disavowal, cranks up the fucking despair.
And when we do burst, it's going to be cheaper to replace us with robots. And they'll just be like, fuck it, fight amongst yourselves. Go be Mad Max scavengers.
We talk about the lever. We talk about the lever is those robots won't watch Netflix. They won't consume.
Right. But the thing that's more frightening to me is that the robots just don't quite get to where they need to be, and so they just start re-engineering humanity
to make it worse, to
make us so that we can so that we can cope with these shittier and shittier conditions of work.
Well, they'll just make us a component part of the actual robots.
Yeah,
like we're there to function as a supplemental component to the functioning of the machines.
Yeah,
and now we're just we truly are a gear in the fucking machine.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's not going to be like they're walking around with cattle prods. It's going to be like cute accelerationism. It's going to be like, look, we're doing this for you. We're doing this to make your work better. That's what it's going to be like. It's going to come like, watch that Davos thing. It's fucking crazy. It's like, it's going to be presented as this is making work more human. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be marketed,
We're already.
This is my face for the rest of the stream.
We're already there, dude. Like we are already at the point where we are in shitifying. Look at music. Look at art. Look at what passes for. We were just talking about movies before we started recording. Like All these things have been enshittified. And there's this weird thing surrounding it where if you don't like it or if you can't enjoy it or if you can't get with it, something is wrong with you. Like you're a bad consumer. You're not a good consumer. Oh, you just don't like mumble rap because you're racist. Like, motherfucker, I love hip hop. I've been fucking loving hip hop my whole fucking life. And I will tell you, mumble rap sucks fucking dick. And I will tell you, anyone who actually appreciates hip hop knows that a lot of this SoundCloud, TikTok, fucking 45-second song bullshit, it's not good music. But our children are growing up in this enshittified state where what used to be music is now nothing but an advertisement because it's a sound on TikTok, and TikTok is nothing but advertising. So we really are moving into Demolition Man world where our fucking music is just a radio station that plays commercials. It plays jingles for fucking Taco Bell. And I know there are fucking people listening who are going to just say, oh, you're just an old man yelling at people to get off your porch. And there is an element of that too, of course. And I'll never be able to escape that. It is true. I will look back at fucking Wu-Tang Clan as the best version of hip hop forever. And I will always be biased towards that shit. But it's also true that like we are enshittifying ourselves. We are enshittifying all of our commodities, all of our fucking art. Everything is being enshittified already. We're already there and we're being trained to shut up and take it. And if you can't do that, then you are ostracized. You are made to be otherized. You're turned into a scapegoat. We're already there.
Also, you respect your elders because the old man screaming on the porch, he might be an asshole, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a point. You know?
Straight up. Straight up.
Here's my point. Gotta run from the popo. Gotta hit him with the fofo. Bone Thugs and Harmony is that's as good as it gets for me, kids.
So,
King Jack Moose, walking Jack Moose, ready to pep you if we have to daily.
the second effect of pressure: squander or luxury. But the lack of room can have another effect. A fight may break out at the entrance. If lives are lost, the excess of individuals over the number of seats will decrease. This effect works in a sense contrary to the first one. Sometimes the pressure results in the clearing of a new space. Other times, in the erasing of possibilities in excess of the available room. This last effect operates in nature in the most varied forms. The most remarkable is death. As we know, death is not necessary. The simple forms of life are immortal. The birth of an organism reproduced through scissiparity is lost in the mists of time. Indeed, it cannot be said to have had parents. Take, for example, scissiparity is like what bacteria do. What is it when they metastasize and they split? Mitosis, that's what it's called.
But they scissor, right? Like
Yeah.
in this. Oh, yeah.
Reproduction by
No,
one
but like
cell
they get
splitting
cut in half.
Yeah, it's mitosis. RNA is the powerhouse of the cell, or whatever.
Hold on, before we
Mitochondria
go
is the
on,
powerhouse
like-
of the cell.
Before we go on, can I just say, okay, because I just want to emphasize when he said in the first paragraph, sometimes the pressure results in the clearing of a new space, other times in the erasing of possibilities in excess of the available room. I think that's exactly what our situation is. We're the ones losing possibilities because our space is becoming so suffocated and it just cannot hold the new intensities and energies that we want to let explode and thrive. And the first option is basically a new symbolization, to use Badiou's term. It is creating a new symbolic order, which would be a new container for our energies, for our excess, but one that would allow it to grow and function in a way that right now it's just being completely suffocated and stifled. And that's, I like that sentence in particular for the two options. It's like either get a new container or continue to let things continue to get worse and more pressurized in the existing container.
Yeah, absolutely. The simple forms of life are immortal. The birth of an organism reproduced through scissoparity is lost in the mists of time. Indeed, it cannot be said to have had parents. Take, for example, the doubles A and A prime, resulting from the splitting in two of A. A has not ceased living with the coming into being of A. Okay, so we'll call it A1 and A2. So take, for example, the doubles A1 and A2, resulting from the splitting into of A. A has not ceased living with the coming into being of A1. A1 is still A, and the same is true of A2. But let us suppose this is purely theoretical, for the purpose of demonstration, that in the beginning of life, there was just one of these infinitesimal creatures. It would nonetheless have quickly populated the earth with its species. After a short time, in theory, reproduction would have become impossible for lack of room, and the energy it utilizes would have dissipated, in the form of heat, for instance. Moreover, this is what happens to one of these microorganisms, duckweed, which covers a pond with a green film, after which it remains in equilibrium. For the duckweed, space is given within the narrowly determined limits of a pond, but the stagnation of the duckweed is not conceivable on the scale of the entire globe, where in any case, the necessary equilibrium is lacking. It can be granted, theoretically, that a pressure everywhere equal to itself would result in a state of rest and a general substitution of heat loss for reproduction. But real pressure has different results. It puts unequal organisms in competition with one another, and although we cannot say how the species take part in the dance, we can say what the dance is. Besides the external action of life, climatic or volcanic phenomena, the unevenness of pressure in living matter continually makes available to growth the place left vacant by death. It is not a new space, and if one considers life as a whole, there is not really growth, but a maintenance of volume in general. In other words, the possible growth is reduced to a compensation for the destructions that are brought about. I insist on the fact that there is generally no growth, but only a luxurious squandering of energy in every form. The history of life on Earth is mainly the effect of a wild exuberance. The dominant event is the development of luxury, the production of increasingly burdensome forms of life.
Okay. I was like, I didn't want to chime in. It's like he was like that whole is like one thought train.
Mm-hmm.
So, squander or luxury? That seems to, so those are the two options we have, right? It's like this pressure to either we have to get rid of it or we have to find a way to make it an excess that we have, right?
Yeah, and
there's no third option here.
No, there is no third option. It's either you're climbing up the sycamore trees or you're in a fight killing each other at the entrance to the arena. The luxury would be people climbing up lampposts and sycamore trees. The squander would be the fight.
I just like, so here's what I like so much about it. He's highlighting something that the vast majority of people, and it's not to sound elitist, like, oh, I got the secret knowledge and all of you are mere peasants. No, but that's a philosopher's job, is to point out something that all of us should have already seen, but somehow none of us made this explicit to ourselves. Like, that's what a philosopher does. And he's pointing out this is the central problem that human beings are facing in particular. And again, I go back to the Lacan quote, only with humans does shitting become a problem. No, only with humans does dealing with the accursed share become a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you either as an animal, you either cope with it or you fucking die, but it's not a problem that you have to try to solve.
Right.
We have to consciously take this up thematically as a problem to make, if not to be solved, one that we have to strategically and logistically organize for. And none of our fucking politicians, none of them really understand what their job is from a battalion perspective. You guys have to figure out the best way for your society to cope with this accursed share. They don't even know this is the fucking problem. But if you don't understand this, and I think there's all kinds of ways that we can add psychoanalytic nuance to this with drive and superego, and there's fine. But nonetheless, if you're not dealing with this excess energy that's constantly building up and you don't provide outlets for it, or you promise people certain outlets, but then they don't have access to those outlets, you're in for a big fucking problem. And this is a problem of logistical planning. And yeah, I don't know. I just see this like, guys, you have to find, by guys, I mean politicians, those in power, you have to find a way to either get rid of this fucking buildup of energy, or you have to find a way to make people have luxurious excess from it. But you're not doing either right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why the attempt's going to be to re-engineer the human, why it is the attempt to re-engineer the human, so that the buildup doesn't build up. They're going to find a way to technologically take it away.
You're gonna have to reprogram the motherfucking sun then.
No, I know, but like I just mean as far as like
I know you're right.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'm saying their efforts will be futile.
Yeah. Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, because that path, it allows this surplus to accumulate in the machine and in our commodities and in our products, which will then go on to supplant us as the new form of life on the surface of the globe. Like that's the thing, that there needs to be an intentional management of this surplus.
You live in Phoenix. Does this shit, these LLMs, if we want to call them a new form of life, and I'm open to that from a certain perspective, right? Do these motherfuckers need excess energy or what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't this point to like I don't know, like a kind of like, why is it that a new form of exuberant, more burdensome form of life, a new form, like that comes out of the logic of, this is what he's talking about, is reaching the point of the limit of space, and this out of this competition of the different life forms will grow more and more more and more burdensome forms of life. So it's just crazy that like, isn't that what, like, it's almost like we know that, and we're trying to create AGI.
Yeah.
You know, because we're just like there's some kind of collective unconscious that must birth AGI, because like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's just like weird how that. Yeah.
It is this dumb process ultimately of like metabolism. Like it is Schopenhauer's will. It is like libidinal materialism. It is like there is, for whatever reason, there's this quality of matter that it tends to clump together. And when it clumps together in the right organization or schema, whatever, it tends to continue clumping together, and it continues accumulating, and the buildup continues, and it complexifies, and it becomes more and more complex, and then it becomes more and more dense, and then it turns into a star, and then it starts to collect other matter. Like, it is this idiotic autopilot property of matter itself. Accumulation is just a law of the universe, much like entropy itself is a law of the universe. Like that's why he's talking about the law of energetics. Like he's not talking about like, oh, these are tendencies, these are things that happen. Like this is just a fact about matter. It does this, and for whatever reason, it arranged itself into what we call life here on planet Earth. And we are part of that. Now, the key takeaway is that we're also subjects. And so our symbolic identity is not identical with our material identity. And that's why this stuff matters for us. That's why shitting becomes a problem for the subject, because we're no longer identical with our material identity.
I am that shit and I am not that shit.
Right. But like that's just the way that it works. It complexifies over time. It becomes more and more burdensome. The energy buildup becomes more and more compounded and almost in this fractal way. So like the thing is, like, we have an opportunity to take ownership of our history as life forms, but also as subjects. And like, we have an opportunity. There's a moment to break away and say, I'm no longer going to follow this bare fact of matter. I'm not just matter. I do, in fact, have a soul. Like over here, hey, look, everyone, I'm a materialist. I'm a physicalist. I'm a full-on nihilist. I don't believe in God and magic and souls. But guess what? Being a human subject gives you a soul. And you can choose to break away from this process of material accumulation and metabolism. But if we don't do that, we will replace ourselves with our machines. The AGIs and the robotics and the things that we build will be life. Even though it doesn't share anything in common with organic life, it will be beholden to this idiotic process of accumulation and complexification and ultimate expenditure, because that is just what matter does.
Yeah.
And like that's the problem. Like, we're unable to realize through our politics this moment of subjectivity, this potential moment of emancipation from material destiny. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And we're just growing. We're metastasizing like a fucking tumor. And it's like, hey guys, we don't have to be a tumor. We can be a tigger if we want. Tigers, that's what tigers do. Like, we can be whatever the fuck we want to be.
Nobody rejects the pleasure principle harder than Bataille, as like, you know, as that being like what drives people. No one rejects it harder than Bataille. Like, and I think it's just obvious. It's just like, that is not what we gravitate towards. It's like at moments in time, yes, it is, but that is not the fundamental generative tendency. We want complexification. You know, we want growth. We want exuberance. We want new forms of life. This is what we want this is a much more powerful generalization than pleasure principle.
But Sean, like, is it a coincidence that Lacan invents the concept of jouissance, really makes it big? The real start of the concept of jouissance is in Seminar 7, which is his most Bataillean seminar. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm reading that shit right now. Lacan is
saying death drive and jouissance is what the human is structured around, which are forms of excess.
Yeah.
And this is where he's influenced by Bataille. So I'm sorry, like, thank you, Bataille, for pointing this motherfucker in this other direction, because for me, Lacan doesn't become Lacan, or he doesn't even start to head in that true Lacanian direction until Seminar 7. If all we had were the first 6 seminars, we'd be sitting here going, yeah, okay, he was okay, whatever. But the Lacan, the motherfucker we all talk about, it's because of this pivot influenced by Bataille in Seminar 7.
How many philosophers are so influenced by Bataille, but they don't mention it? Like, they don't name Bataille. Like, you could say, I don't know if Lacan names Bataille at some point, but there's Nick Land. Is Rene Girard absolutely took a shit ton from Bataille. Lacan, and Deleuze and Guattari, the whole like 100%. metaphysics of flow and energy and that shit. Like, Heraclitus, but also Bataille, you know, and like so many people I think are influenced by Bataille and don't mention his name. Or like the one in like for example, Rene Girard does cite Bataille, but it's not in the way that you'd expect. It's like as a offhand, like this little detail. And it's like, no, dude, the center of your theory is like
Bataille.
Bataillean as fuck. Like
Yeah.
there's a sentence that when we get to it, it'll trigger it for me. There's a sentence in here that is it's a one sentence summary of Girard's entire theory. Like, but he doesn't fucking but we know he read him because he cites him just in an offhanded way, you know.
It's because Bataille got dismissed as a weird guy who wrote weird poetry and weird stories. And he was into cults about potentially murdering somebody. And like, it's because people didn't think, oh, this one weird guy who wrote the Accursed Share on Visions of Excess and, you know, some of these other things, like they thought they didn't have to fucking shout him out. But it's like, no, man. But he is the man behind the curtain for a lot of people, for sure.
Yeah. I think like we have to remember that like sometimes geniuses are fucking lunatics. Like, I mean, more than half of what Newton wrote was about fucking alchemy and like weird esoterica and shit. It's like, but everyone just forgets that part. We don't have to look at that. We don't have to remember that Newton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some of these people who are onto some shit are into some weird
laws.
Yeah.
Some weird shit, you know?
All right, so should we is this the last section we're going to read tonight?
Yeah, this will be the final section for the night. I think it's a good ending point.
You know what? Can I just say, I want to be meta for a second, but for a reason, and just say, people could watch this and go, guys, you like went off on free associations, you blah blah blah. Guys, that's the excess. Like we're showing you the excess of theoretical philosophical energy in us that has to not just fulfill some utilitarian, you know, be utility. What would utility be? It'd be like, give us a 15-minute summary of this chapter, bare bones summarization, no free associations. And I'm like, we could do that. We could, but it would feel very machinic and not us as a trio. So yeah, I just think that if you want, you know, and this is a Lacanian point, if you really want to understand a motherfucker, it's in coming to see how their excessive enjoyment functions.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this is how our excess enjoyment functions in the process of an exegesis.
Yeah, and you know, for the people who do want, you know, just the short, straight to business, there's plenty of other people out on the internet who do that stuff. We are here to do what the fuck we want to do,
and we are being Bataillean in that regard.
We are squandering from your perspective, we're squandering, but from our perspective, it is a luxury to sit back and talk about Jeff Goldblum and a bunch of other dumb shit. Yeah. What's up, Jeff? Don't turn into a fly, dude. Don't get into that machine. It's going to turn you into a fly. The three luxuries of nature: eating, death, and sexual reproduction. The eating of one species by another is the simplest form of luxury. The populations that were trapped by the German army acquired, thanks to the food shortage, a vulgarized knowledge of this burdensome character of the indirect development of living matter. If one cultivates potatoes or wheat, the land's yield in consumable calories is much greater than that of livestock in milk and meat for an equivalent acreage of pasture. The least burdensome form of life is that of a green microorganism, absorbing the sun's energy through the action of chlorophyll. But generally, vegetation is less burdensome than animal life. Vegetation quickly occupies the available space. Animals make it a field of slaughter and extend its possibilities in this way. They themselves develop more slowly. In this respect, the wild beast is at the summit. Its continual depredations of depredators represent an immense squandering of energy. William Blake asked the tiger, In what distant deeps or skies burned the fire of thine eyes? What struck him in this way was the cruel pressure, at the limits of possibility, the tiger's immense power of consumption of life. In the general effervescence of life, the tiger is a point of extreme incandescence. And this incandescence did in fact burn first in the remote depths of the sky, in the sun's consumption.
I mean, first, can we just say like that writing is fire?
Oh, straight
Yeah.
up.
At fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, though. For real.
He's so pointing out the compound nature and the increasing burden. Plants are simpler than animals. And so you can get more calories out of them because they're using fewer calories for their own growth and their own reproduction. Animals, being more complex, are using more of the available energy, and it's actually invested in growth and reproduction. And so their yield is less caloric output. And that's also why a luxury is consuming another form of life. You are reaping the benefits rather than being reaped by something bigger and greater and more complex than you.
The capitalist eats us. Capital eats the capitalist.
Yeah, straight up. Straight the fuck up. Eating brings death, but in an accidental form. Of all conceivable luxuries, death in its fatal and inexorable form is undoubtedly the most costly. The fragility, the complexity of the animal body already exhibits its luxurious quality, but this fragility and luxury culminate in death. Just as in space, the trunks and branches of the tree raise the superimposed stages of the foliage to the light, death distributes the passage of the generations over time. It constantly leaves the necessary room for the coming of the newborn. And we are wrong to curse that the one without whom we would not exist. In reality, when... Yeah.
Well, I think
I think
this
that's
is
important.
a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he means death, right? We're wrong to curse death because without death, we would not exist.
The one without whom we would not exist. Yeah. Someone made way for us.
Death makes room, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it good that isn't mortality a good thing? Because the second that someone cracks the code of immortality, they will just be able to go on consuming and existing forever, taking up as much space as they want, and they will prevent new things from coming into being,
Although I try to imagine what Plato would be like if he had lived up until now.
Fucking
a monster.
Magic space triangles. He would bioengineer us to fit into triangle shapes, and we would be little triangle
imagine
slaves.
If Marx was here. Imagine if Marx was still here.
He'd be too drunk.
Lived through all of this.
He'd be drunk as fuck right now, dude. Matter of fact,
dude, I think it would break I think it would break the human brain to live through. You would just kill yourself at some point to live through that many generations, to watch that many people fade away. Unless you got to live with other people or something.
Dude, if I could
still, I don't know.
If I could live, I might choose to live forever. I definitely would be down to have revolutionary medical technology that allows you to extend your life, drastically extend your life. I don't know. The question of is death good? While I agree with where you're going, I also I would just add on to that. Well, maybe, but I mean, maybe not. Maybe the most human thing we could do is to say, fuck you, universe. Again, let's wage war with the gods. Maybe that could be good. Well, and I don't think I don't know.
Yeah,
but it is.
It would make sense if we can launch.
I feel that energy though, Nance. I'm tapped.
Yeah.
No, I think if we can launch people into space, then it'll make sense.
Straight up.
Then yeah.
Shout out The Unknown Country, Star Trek. going to war with God. So death being this ultimate luxury. I mean, recently there've been a few examples that have come up where we're not even like people aren't even allowed to die anymore. Like capitalists found a way to commoditize the dead subject, most notably in a conversation with one of my buddies. Actually, you know him too, Sean, Adam. His brother's mom, I can't remember the story now, but he had a family member that passed away, and Facebook keeps sending like,
oh my God,
keeps sending like reminders or whatever to like, it's like, do you remember like on the anniversary of her death?
Oh, that's so gross.
Yeah. And it's like, that's commoditizing because it's there to get your attention and it's there to drag you in. And it for some people, maybe it presents a sentimental moment where you then scroll through the memories on Facebook and look at the photos. And for other people, it presents, you get angry and then you go off into some other form of
I fucking
consumption.
need to remember the people that I've loved.
Right.
For
Right.
a Facebook reminder.
Right.
Yeah.
But it still
It's
serves
obscene.
some algorithmic purpose. It undoubtedly serves some algorithmic purpose, or else they wouldn't do it. But the key takeaway for me was like, motherfuckers can't even die in peace anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like death being this ultimate luxury, like I understand, yes, someone like looking at it from this Bataille point of view, all the generations of humans that died before we were born had to die for us to be born. And I understand that that's true of all the generations that will come after us. And so recognizing myself as part of this thing that I like to call humanity, it is a good thing that I'm going to die. Because I do think, wouldn't it be cool if humans figured it out? Wouldn't it be cool if we did reach the apogee of our potential?
Yeah, what'd be cool is if we could replace death with space exile forever. So like when you get to the age of like when you get to like 120 or something, then we launch your ass into space and you can live as long as you want. Oh,
you're like Zod in the motherfucking triangle. Like
you can live as long as you want in the vast
here, take
reaches
two of your
space.
homies with you.
Yeah. It's like
like I like this. Look, this is maybe the Baudrillardian in me talking, but this kind of like symbolic exchange means a lot of things, and that's why it's a hard concept to understand. But because sometimes it means just truly loving somebody and being able to sacrifice for them because they mean that much to you. You don't care about the consequence. That's part of it.
Yep.
Another part of it is this kind of stubborn human, I'll fucking show you. And look, like I like that line from the Xenofeminist Manifesto. If nature is unjust, change nature.
Yep.
There's a Baudrillardian component to this to me that I like, which is, so you've thrown me into this fucking world. I have to die. I have to fucking do X, Y, and Z because that's the fucking facticity. Yeah. Fuck you. I'll just change the shit. How do you like that? And I don't know. I like that. It's same with God. It's like, oh, okay. You fucking throw me into existence and it's X, Y, and Z. Yeah, fuck all that shit. I'm gonna change all that shit. Now, if anybody's paying attention, you go, isn't that Luciferian? Maybe. But whether it's Luciferian or whether it's just human, all too human, yeah, that's a vibe I dig, which is, and my thing is, I'm not even that happy I was born. But now that I'm here, I like the idea of being able to fucking refine my ability as a thinker to keep doing philosophy, because the passion of the drive is eternal. It's undead.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a zombie mode. And I don't even mean that in a pejorative sense.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I want to see how far I can take this shit, even though I don't like existence. And so that part of me, the drive that is hooked on existence, wants to take philosophy as far as it can. So I sit there and I'm like, at age 21, I couldn't fucking read a newspaper and really make sense of it. And now at, in my 40s, I'm here. What could I do with 1,500 years?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And so I have them kind of thoughts, and I'm like, man, fuck biology. Fuck this bullshit being trapped in this fucking body. Give me my fucking metallic flesh and let me chill there for 1,500 years.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
And
I wish I could. I want to be a machine. I want to upload my brain into a robot body. I really do.
Well, dude, the robot bodies or the humanoid bodies in the new Alien series. That's the dream, right?
It is, although I didn't finish that series yet.
Oh, it's fucking good. But still, it's in like the first episode, you know?
Yeah,
it's like
no,
you get transferred to a body that can like fucking, fall off of 15 stories and be okay. You know, that's pretty fucking rad. Like that's kind of, I feel like
and
that,
to me, that's just
like when I had
nature.
What's that?
I can't help but interpret that as like, yeah, fuck you, nature. How do you like this shit?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's badass. I think that it requires, because he's calling attention to limit, and death is like death and limit. And so it's like it does require really breaking free of certain limits. And that's why I said the thing is like transforming death into space exile. Because like if that happens on Earth, we can imagine a dystopian version. There's a dystopian and a utopian version of every technology. So we can imagine the dystopian version of this Elysium situation, where the rich people are, they're in the robot bodies, they're living forever. The rest of us are half lives. You know what I mean? So,
well, I think
I just want to. Oh, go ahead.
I think the point to make is death being the ultimate luxury. It's insane how capital doesn't even let us die anymore. And there's other examples. But the thing is, like, in order
that's what God does. Capital wants to be God. And so God doesn't, it gives us immortality. You never really can die. You're either trapped in heaven forever or you're burning in hell forever. But I'm sorry, I can't be cool with a being who doesn't allow me the possibility of actual death, of actual end of my consciousness.
Yeah.
It's like even if I want to live for 1,500 years or 15,000 years, I need to know that the possibility exists that I can be out this motherfucker.
Yeah.
That I don't have to be here. And if you can't supply me that, then you're not my God.
Yeah, that's your ultimate freedom, is the ability to die,
Yep.
Like,
and God doesn't let you do it.
Or the ability to squander. And I like, so the loss is coming one way or the other. It's either going to be squandered or it's going to be expressed in some form of luxury. We see death as this ultimate form of luxury, which it does bear out. It is true. However, if we had a world where we could upload into a robot body, then we would be squandering the accursed share on our continued life and our continued journey out into space. Like that would be a moment where we take up the responsibility and say, I am choosing to squander this rather than choosing to be locked into this system where death is this ultimate luxury, but you can't even die anymore. Like you're like, fuck, man. Some famous actor guy just trademarked his likeness and his voice, and it was in the news. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea, dude. But like Tupac, fucking Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, like these guys are dead. These guys have been dead, but they've been resurrected by capital. And like, even, from their subjective position, they're dead and gone and they're not here anymore. But from society's perspective, they have been resurrected. Even they are not allowed to stay dead. Right.
They'll give them motherfuckers bodies, because
you guys see
a
Mickey
Tupac concert will make a lot of fucking money.
Did you guys see Mickey 17?
I did, dude.
Yeah, I did.
I liked it.
That's what he can't die. That's exactly it. He is under contract. He cannot die.
Yeah,
because he's signed.
Did you ever watch did you hear the episode Studebaker and Nina Power did on Mickey 17?
I did not know.
Yeah, they hated it. And I remember listening to it and I'm like,
oh wait, I did. I did hear it.
They
it's just
despised it.
It was so weird. I remember that because it doesn't even seem like this. They watched the same movie that I did, because I thought like there's that's why I didn't remember having listened to the episode, because it's like it didn't seem like a perfect movie, but there seemed just no reason to revile it, to me.
But you know what though? I like when people I like hearing people who will go on for an hour and be like, I hate this and here's why. Like, and because they weren't being haters, they genuinely disliked it. And when I saw it, I was just like, it's mid. Like I didn't hate it, I didn't love it,
Yeah.
and so I like that. I like listening to a podcast by intelligent people who I don't care if they love something that I think is mid or they hate something I think is mid. I like hearing the other side, the argument.
Of course.
But
yeah.
no, for me, I think the movie had a couple or a few interesting points to make about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. At least the basic premise I thought was like well done, even if the whole movie as a whole was imperfect, you know?
Well, it does. It starts getting you thinking about death. And if you could just be constantly replanted in a new body, what does that do for you existentially? What does that do for Dasein's being towards death? I mean, I guess you still have it in this, like, ultimately one day I'm not going to exist, but it would modify your existentiality, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if I don't know, the fact that people are increasingly living in this perpetual simulation, going back to our recent conversation about disavowing simulation, like there is an element of people disavowing death when you watch people on stream out there doing crazy shit, like the guy that wrecked his fucking McLaren on the freeway and miraculously wasn't hurt, but like fucking totaled his car or whatever. Like you see increasing levels of extreme shit happening on stream, and it's all simulated, and you're allowed to like disavow danger. I wonder if that is changing our fucking comportment towards.
Oh, dude. I mean, disavow is so important, I think, now.
Yeah.
So helpful in understanding what Heidegger means by inauthentic being towards death.
Yeah.
Versus authentic being towards. I'm sorry, it's letting the possibility of death either impact you, thereby changing the way you live your life. Your whole life in authenticity is a reaction to being impacted by the imminent possibility of your demise, right?
Yeah.
Whereas inauthentic being towards death is disavow. It's I know very well one day I'm going to die, but nevertheless, I'm going to live like I have infinite time on this planet.
Because even if we solve all aging and all disease, and that's a massive if, but like let's say that that's a thing, then like your spaceship that you're immortal on can still be hit by an asteroid. Death will always be a possibility for human beings and superhuman beings alike, you know?
Yeah.
Because the universe will eventually die.
Yep. To bring it back to Bataille terms, inauthentic being towards death is an inauthentic relation to the death built into the Accursed Share. That the Accursed Share functions through death by making room.
It's letting you live in a world, or it's living in a world that lets you think you're gonna get to squander it.
A world of infinite space.
Yeah. But also a world that it doesn't let you squander it. It squanders it for you. But then it also denies the luxury from you as well. So it does this like double down. And that's the problem. Like our society is in this deadlock because it's unable to develop this awareness of this mechanic that's going on. Like there is this accursed share, there is this accumulation, there is this buildup, and there is this necessary expenditure. But our society is built on this ideology of we will go on and we will live forever and we will persist. And that's what the object does. And so from the point of view of capital, it's not a problem at all. It's only a problem from our point of view because we have the awareness to see the deadlock itself.
Mikey, what was the sentence, if you remember? You said inauthentic being towards death is, what was the end of that sentence, if you remember?
What I just said?
Yeah.
Inauthentic being towards death is the disavowal, the inability to be impacted by the imminent possibility of our death.
Cool. Thank you.
Whereas authentic being towards death would be, no, I am impacted by this possibility. I do take it up and I live with it. And thereby realizing that my time on this planet is very finite, I'm going to live in accordance with that possibility.
Yeah, dude, bringing disavowal into that, I think is really fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
Right.
In reality, when we curse death, we only fear ourselves. The severity of our will is what makes us tremble. We lie to ourselves when we dream of escaping the movement of luxurious exuberance of which we are only the most intense form. Or perhaps we only lie to ourselves in the beginning, the better to experience the severity of this will afterward, carrying it to the rigorous extreme of consciousness. In this respect, the luxury of death is regarded by us in the same way as that of sexuality. First, as a negation of ourselves, then, in a sudden reversal, as the profound truth of that movement of which life is the manifestation.
See a little hint towards what?
Erotism and death.
Erotism and death, right? Yep.
Yeah. And he gets in volume 2, I think. He has a chapter on eroticism. Is that volume 2 or is that in?
I don't know. I'm not very familiar with volume 2. I've read a little bit of it, but
all I know is this might be my favorite sentence in the whole book. We lie to ourselves. This sentence, we lie to ourselves when we dream of escaping the movement of luxurious exuberance of which we are only the most intense form.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite sentence in the entire book.
Yeah.
Like asceticism, that's fucking bullshit. Is what he's saying.
Like I like what you're doing, Sean. Unpack it more. Like why does that resonate so much with you?
Just because I think that like there's no way to do self-denial. Like even if you're doing self-denial, you're practicing exuberance. Like monks are just luxurious. You know,
that is surplus enjoyment. That's what Lacan means by it. Which is to say,
yeah.
The most extreme forms of the renunciation of jouissance provide this surplus. Like, yeah, you've rejected jouissance in some way. The very rejection of it produces enjoyment in the rejection of it, and that's the surplus. And it's kind of like why is it called surplus jouissance? With Marx, the capitalist has to lose a certain amount of value by investing it in the commodity production. So it has to lose value, at the end of which it gets surplus value. So you have to lose jouissance to get surplus jouissance, because your surplus jouissance is rooted in the way that you lose jouissance.
Yeah. Yeah. And so even if you hate yourself, you will do it exuberantly. You will do it like
with excess.
In excess. So it's like if you are a decadent being, you might as well be a crazy fucking decadent being. You might as well not give ground relative to your desire. You might as well let nothing hold you back. You might as well be what you are to the utmost. You know, that's what I get out of that one sentence. I'm like, I just think that's fucking wonderful. You know?
No, it makes me want to, like, all the, because I know people who emphasize balance, and basically they don't call it the Aristotelian doctrine of the mean, but that's what they're getting at. Mm-hmm. And they're so excessive in how they emphasize this.
Yeah, dude.
And I just want to go, guys, you're kidding yourselves. You're a being of excess. You don't give a fuck about equilibrium like that.
Absolutely. But I think like there's a interesting problem, because like I don't think that virtue ethics are like utter bullshit, because like it might sound like I'm saying that because of what I just said about being exuberant, but it's also like, no, there are forms of enjoyment that will eat you and rot you from the inside out. Yeah. That'll destroy you, you know? So it's like, you have to, when I'm saying be what you are, I'm not saying do whatever your whim is at any given moment, you know, act on every impulse.
I don't think that's your passion.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Be what you are is finding your passion, finding what gives you life, finding what makes you live long and happy, you know, and not compromising on that, and letting like, but doing that like unto death, doing that in such a way that like you will die for that. You know?
Look, I'm always going to refer to artists. but
Yeah.
philosophers fit the bill too. But I'm sorry, Prince lived his life of passion.
Yeah.
He lived his life doing the thing he loved to do. But so did Heidegger. And and so did fucking Mozart.
Yeah.
And so it's just a thing of finding that thing that is incredibly excessive, that derails all these other things that you should probably have more balance in. But nonetheless, that's the thing that really sustains your life and makes it meaningful.
But even simple, like absolutely. But I think even simple shit too, like pouring yourself out into your family and like building a family, I think is exuberant. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like even simple shit like that is absolutely just like exuberant excess. Like you're trying to create people into you're trying to create people. What is more fucking exuberant than that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good point. Right,
Under the
Nance?
present
Last
conditions. Yep. Under the present conditions, independently of our consciousness, sexual reproduction is, together with eating and death, one of the great luxurious detours that ensure the intense consumption of energy. To begin with, it accentuates that which Sissiparity announced, the division by which the individual being foregoes growth for himself and, through the multiplication of individuals, transfers it to the impersonality of life. This is because, from the first, sexuality differs from miserly growth. If, with regard to the species, sexuality appears as a growth, in principle, it is nevertheless the luxury of individuals. This characteristic is more accentuated in sexual reproduction, where the individuals engendered are clearly separate from those that engender them and give them life as one gives to others. But without renouncing a subsequent return to the principle of growth for the period of nutrition, the reproduction of the higher animals has not ceased to deepen the fault that separates it from the simple tendency to eat in order to increase volume and power. For these animals, sexual reproduction is the occasion of a sudden and frantic squandering of energy resources, carried in a moment to the limit of possibility, in time what the tiger is in space. This squandering goes far beyond what would be sufficient for the growth of the species. It appears to be the most that an individual has the strength to accomplish in a given moment. It leads to the wholesale destruction of property, in spirit, the destruction of bodies as well, and ultimately connects up with the senseless luxury and excess of death.
So what do you think what's his main point here?
Sex is wasteful. Mitosis, I don't even know if mitosis is the right word, but like cell reproduction is more efficient than sexual reproduction. Like cells that split, just like plants are more efficient than animals. Like single-celled organisms are more efficient than multi-celled organisms that need to produce sexually. So it's a luxury, or a squandering. You're wasting all this energy by having sex. And the burnout of the energy isn't going into the growth of the animal and the nutrition of the animal, and it's not just this base material thing. Like there is already an expression of the accursed share when you're engaged in sexual reproduction. But then that surplus is kind of like transferred onto the new baby animal that comes out of the pairing of the gendered parents. So like with death, where death is this, expenditure of energy that actually creates new room for the new living creature. Sex is a waste of energy that could otherwise be put towards growth, or Sissiparity as opposed to sexual reproduction, or would just be expressed as waste. Instead, you're actually physically exerting yourself. You're actually achieving fucking orgasm. You're actually destroying the body in spirit. Like you're becoming the beast with two backs. Like in the moment of sexual gratification, you are joined with your sexual partner. So it's like this whole big deal. Sex is luxurious, but it ultimately serves this purpose of expressing some of the accursed share and biological reproduction.
Yeah, you lose yourself in both sex and death.
Yes.
Which is why the French refer to
Le petit
the
mort.
orgasm as a little death.
Yeah, man.
The French have the French have an intuitive read on a lot of shit that is just lost by the Anglo world. We're like, what? You know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So all of what we read today talking about growth, limits, pressure, and ultimately these forms of expression of the pressure, of the buildup, as a luxury or a squandering. It's all like describing just the laws of the general economy, the laws of this energy that exists, the superabundance that comes to us by way of the sun, and plant life and animal life and all this metabolism. These are things we have to deal with. We've added a lot on top of it, a lot of subjectivity, drive, desire, Dasein. And those are all, I think for me, all that extra stuff only comes from the fact that we're cut away from nature in this way. Like, we're already at war with nature, whether we want to be or not. We're already at war with God, whether we want to be or not, because we can see the way nature operates, and we can see the way God operates as this object that operates according to these simple laws of accumulation and expenditure, and then transforming into the next thing, the luxury or the squandering. But we have this moment where we are aware of our material form. We are aware that we are animals. We are aware that we belong to life. But we also have symbolic identities, and we have desire, we have drive, we have things like we can choose. The general economy just does this. It's either squander or luxury. It's either an explosion or an implosion. It's either death or decay or whatever. But we have the opportunity to say, let's build robot bodies and let's shoot ourselves off into space. We also have time and time again decided, let's go to war and let's kill each other and let's do horrible, terrible, fucked up, very bad shit to each other. That's the thing. That's why this is problematic. That's why we go to war, because we operate according to this logic, but we also have moments where we think we're choosing not to. Like, we're trying to accumulate. Oh, I want to accumulate all this wealth and all this utility and all this good stuff. But we're still beholden to this law of energy buildup and necessary expenditure. So taking up the accursed share for ourselves, like that presents this opportunity of escape. And I really do think it is an escape from this bare material life. What it looks like, I don't know. But either way, if we don't take it up and we don't do something to try to manage it, it'll all be squandered. We're fucking ourselves over.
Just to pick up on like a piece of what you said, is that like when it comes to nature, I feel like we, when like two people get in a fight and one of them just goes too far and just starts like hitting the other guy while they're down, and they got all their friends have to come and pull them off because they're gonna fucking kill the guy if they keep going. It's like, I feel like that's us and nature. Like, we've been pushed around by nature for so fucking long, and we've snapped, and now we finally got the upper hand, and we're just on top of that motherfucker, just pounding his fucking head in, like we are just beating the fuck out of nature because it put us down for so fucking long.
Yeah. And because we fail to recognize how we're dependent upon nature, we're actually causing a problem for ourselves by beating it up.
Yeah. We're definitely doing injury to ourselves in the process of beating nature to death.
Yeah.
All I can say is, if this is what we do to nature when we finally get our hands on it, God better watch out.
I'm saying, dude. I'm saying. I don't know. Let's see what are final words, final thoughts, closing arguments, final summations.
Read Bataille.
That's fair.
Do we have a lesson? Does anyone have a lesson?
I think it's important here. I mean, I don't know if the lesson's like why theory lesson. I think the lesson is to think through the law of the accursed share, which is to say, if this is the fundamental default setting that planet Earth has to cope with is excess energy, then how do we as humans have to find what are the best ways for us to mitigate this, to think through how to channel it, to dissipate it, to squander it, to make it luxurious. It's simply thinking the accursed share itself and understanding that there has to be an actual institutionalized logistics of how to cope with it.
Well, and I think we have to to get there, we have to change the way we think at a very fundamental level, because we need to stop being in this, I guess, scarcity mindset of there's a finite number of resources, exuberance is bad. We need to, any example of waste that we can see, we freak the fuck out about. But all the examples of waste that just go on, the fucking go on behind the scenes, like the Pentagon and the massive amounts of waste that it does every day. Every time one of those fucking gigantic cargo planes, I don't know what they're fucking called, the huge ones, every time one of those flies through the sky, that's what we have instead of universal health care. That fucker right there. You know what I mean? There's just massive waste, but it's the whole, when he's talking about acceptable expenditures of energy versus not, well, our priorities are fucked as far as what's okay to waste and what not. Just fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the lesson is simply embrace excess.
Yeah.
I think,
and I mean that, think about it, guys, how much people are willing to cut themselves slack when it comes to their excessive forms of enjoyment, but they don't cut anybody else any slack when it comes to theirs.
Yeah.
Right.
It's learn to live with this acceptance of excess and go, okay, it's here. On an individual level, it's going to manifest itself. On a societal level, at an institutional level, the question is, what are the better forms of it expressing itself?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think don't hear it, embrace excess and think, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that means I'm gonna go out at 3 a.m. and turn my car stereo up as loud as it can go, and bump some fucking I don't know, fucking who's the skinny white guy, Yellow Wolf. Don't drive through the neighborhood at 3 a.m. with your bass turned up bumping Yellow Wolf. Embrace excess in this way where it's you see it as both a necessary fact of the world, you are an excessive subject, you do things excessively, understand that everyone else is going to do things excessively, but also understand how you can how you can use your own excess to enrich your own life. Because it's also excessive to sit on your ass and scroll TikTok all day long or scroll YouTube shorts all day long. That is also an excessive activity, but you could, like you said, the exuberant activity of pouring yourself into your family, that is choosing to manage excess in a way that is in fact luxurious. Just sit down with, I don't know, someone someone you love, and have a fucking pointless conversation with them. That's excessive, but it's also far more human and far more enriching than always being on or always consuming something or always trying to produce something. Take some time to not be productive. Take some time away from necessity and utility and do something excessive in this sense of I'm a human and I am choosing to do nothing. But don't get carried away with the doing of the nothing, because there's also probably far too many people who just sit around all day and jerk off and don't do anything.
But embracing it, I mean, look, it's funny how, somebody like a prophet of excess or of jouissance or of drive can be an unlikely candidate where, they're describing, hey, like this is a component of us. We have to deal with it. I mean, and in every single person, there's a Slim Shady lurking. He could be working at Burger King, spitting on your onion rings, or in the parking lot circling, screaming, "I don't give a fuck," with his windows down and his system up. So, will the real Shadys please stand up? And I'm saying, like, here's the point. It comes out like, no, M doesn't have. He's not reading Bataille and he's not reading Lacan, but he's tapped into it. Like that's what Slim Shady is.
Yeah.
It's a double and it's an excessive one. It's one of jouissance. And it's one that, is saying, look, this excess inside you is here to stay. No matter, the death of Slim Shady. Yeah, well, just wait till next year when he's resurrected, because he ain't going away. And that there is a Slim Shady in all of us. And this excessive form of enjoyment is here to stay. And so when you start seeing that as a default setting on the individual level, on the particular level, on the universal level, at the institutional level, and at the terrestrial level, you start to go, okay, I got to view things differently. I can't hold the world to a standard of homeostasis.
Yeah. And I think like it's about you do you, but it's about in such a way that's like, no, actually do you. Don't do the image of what you're told is supposed to be you. Like recognize the fucking difference in this narcissistic world that we live in this super egoic world. Like you do you in the way that actually expends energy in the way that makes you like feel the most fulfilled, the most fucking emptied out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like do what actually satisfies you, not what is supposed to satisfy you.
Yeah,
and that takes some fucking self-exploration that people no longer have time for anymore.
Yeah.
And so they end up doing they end up fulfilling a profile.
Yeah. Taking the path of least resistance. I mean, yeah, ultimately, that is the problem, that this is a structural thing. It's not just at the level of individual responsibility. This is all structural, but if we
find some time somehow, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's the thing, man. Like, it's got to start somewhere. Snowballs roll downhill and pick up more snow, and eventually they become an avalanche. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Just don't eat the yellow snow.
Just don't eat the yellow snow. And on that note,
just don't do that shit.
On that note, folks, we will catch you on the fucking next one. Peace.
I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady.